Hey there! So, welcome back to another video. Okay, so we don't have electricity again. It's not load shedding this time. I don't know what it is. Apparently somewhere something blew up, but we are still doing a video. As you can see, we are doing a look today inspired by the asexual flag. We're also going to be talking about what it means to be asexual, some misconceptions people have about being asexual, and also some history of like asexuality and stuff like that. So yeah, this is our third last video, right? Yeah, this is our third last video for Pride Month, for this Pride Month anyways. I am still trying to figure out what I'll do in October. Because October is Halloween, I want to do like character-based makeups and like scary makeup, but I'm not sure. What I might do is do like Thursday's Halloween makeup and Sunday's Pride makeup. I don't know, we'll see though. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any opinions about that, I would love to hear it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it's informative. Thank you so much for all the support, all the love, and all of the feedback I've been getting on my previous videos. I really appreciate it. I feel like I'm gonna keep saying this, but it's really cool to inform people about the LGBTQIA community. So yeah, it feels good, it feels great, I love it. With that being said though, let's get into the video. Okay, so let's talk about what it means to be asexual. So asexuality does not mean the absence of any sexuality, sexual feelings, desire, or association. Asexuality means to experience no or low levels of sexual attraction to other people, regardless of their gender. So some people identify as being grey asexual or grey sexual, which means falling somewhere between asexual and sexual by their own evaluation. A grey sexual person might experience sexual attraction rarely, but not as rarely as someone who just calls themselves asexual, and not as often as someone who isn't asexual at all. There are also demisexual people who fall into the grey area. Demisexual people can only experience sexual attraction to those they've formed a deep emotional connection to, meaning sexual attraction is a secondary form of attraction rather than a primary one. Asexuality is a spectrum, so the ways in which asexuality is experienced can vary from person to person and in different ways. So let's talk about some misconceptions. People seem to think that asexuality is a lifestyle choice. Now, this is a misconception because it stems from the idea that asexuality is a choice overall and not a legitimate sexual orientation. Asexuality is often confused with celibacy or abstinence, probably because they can manifest in similar ways. Celibacy is a lifestyle choice, asexuality isn't. Asexuality also shouldn't be confused with being an incel. So an incel is somebody that is involuntarily celibate. People who are incel describe themselves as someone who has not yet found their significant other, or they're unable to find a partner or things like that. But people don't decide to become asexual because they can't find a sexual partner or because of any other circumstances. It isn't a state of being when you're going through a dry spell, nor is it a choice any more than being gay or straight is a choice. It's just the way you are. So the next misconception is that asexual people have an anti-sex attitude. This is somewhat true and somewhat untrue. There are asexual people who don't like the thought of sex. The thought of them having sex makes them feel grossed out, but that feeling does not necessarily extend to what other people are doing. The misconception that asexual people are against other people expressing their sexuality and that all asexual people can't stomach conversations about sex is quite an alienating one. It leads to asexual people being left out of important discussions about sexuality. It is entirely possible and incredibly common to have sex-positive attitudes and be asexual. The next misconception is that asexual people haven't found the right person yet. Now, this is one that I think lots of asexual people get, or maybe this is something that people who identify as asexual, this might be something that is the first thought that leads them into realizing that they're asexual. So the idea that asexual people just need to meet the right one is strange. It's an argument that seems to be applied to asexuality to asexuality more than other orientations. You wouldn't tell a straight guy that they just hadn't met the right man yet as an explanation as to why he's attracted to women. And I think that lots of other people in the LGBTQIA+ community can relate, but I do think that it's much more intense when it comes to people who are asexual. I think they get this a lot. This suggests that the sexuality is reflective of the company, that no one they've ever seen or encountered has met their standards, and thus they haven't experienced sexual attraction to the extent that the term asexual could be applied. This assumption ignores and invalidates all of the asexual people who have found their right person, the asexual people in happy, fulfilling, loving relationships, or have had them in the past. Because yes, asexual people can still have romantic relationships or any other kind of relationships. The validity of a relationship is not and should not be based on how sexually attracted you are to that person. This statement also plays into the notion that asexual people are missing out on something and haven't truly discovered their entire selves, and that they are incomplete because of an innate characteristics of their life experiences. Now, let's talk about some history. So in 1981, a woman named Catherine Cobley, I hope I'm saying that correctly, wrote a letter to the feminist newspaper Heresies. She thanked them for their recent issue that censored marginalized sexualities, but added, "I also felt a bit left out. For among many points of view represented, I was unable to find one which I could truly identify with wholeheartedly." Cobley was asexual, and so were many of her friends. She recounted wrestling with the shame over her identity, noting that mainstream society promoted the notion that the lack of a sexual partner, and especially the lack of history of sexual partners, is seen as negativity, a lack, an expression of incompleteness of a human being. For years, Cobley had watched gay, lesbian, transgender, and bisexual activists parade down Fifth Avenue as part of annual pride parades. Her concern was that the asexual community needed to experience some kind of visibility and confidence. The mere existence of Cobley's letter shatters the pernicious stereotypes, because modern asexual organizing has largely happened on the internet. Some commentators have defined asexuality as the first internet orientation. These framings perpetuate the myth that asexuality is a new phenomenon, born out of a series of internet forums and Tumblr posts. In reality, history is crammed with people talking about their complicated relationships to sexual or romantic attraction. And in countless queer spaces in the 1960s through the 1980s, asexual was recognized as a valid self-identity. That history, however, has rarely been told. The rise of critiques inspired one feminist, Lisa Orlando, to publish the Asexual Manifesto in 1972. Orlando's interpretation of asexuality may not align with today's dominant definition. Orlando frames asexuality as a political reaction to the patriarchy, rather than a deeply held identity. But she does note that the longer she and her friends Barbara Getz have avoided sex, their need for and interest in sex diminished. She said that sex was a means of self-deception, as a way to avoid real closeness rather than achieving it. Although there does not appear to have been a formalized asexual liberation movement in the 20th century, the idea was not foreign. In a 1978 book review, the Gay News literary editor Alison Hennigan noted that people have the right not to be sexual at all. By the time Catherine Cobley wrote her letter to Heresies, references to asexuality peppered the historical archives. Though asexuality is rarely discussed in traditional history books, research suggests that asexual identity has been part of queer activism for more than a century. The only reason people still dismiss asexuality as an internet orientation is that this history is barely realized, not because it isn't there. Okay, so as you can see, my makeup is done, and honestly, I'm obsessed. It's just so pretty. I think it resembles the flag. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I really hope that this video has taught you a little bit more about the asexual community, and I hope that this look has made the asexual community proud. Yeah, so I hope this video was entertaining, and just an update on this little thing over here. The Prime and Lock eyeshadow primer. Final verdict, it's great. I really like it. It doesn't really... The thing is, it makes my eyeshadows pop, which I love, but, and this is a butt that only is a butt for me. I'm pretty sure this isn't a butt for anybody else. Still, no matter what I use on my eyes, it still smudges. Like, eyeshadow will always smudge. I don't know if you can see, but there's like wrinkles and things like that. It's just the way my eyes are. But that's not this thing's product. That's not this product's fault. That's just my eyes' fault. So if you see that, that's not because the product is bad. It's just because my eyes suck. So that's the end of the video. So I hope you guys have a great morning or evening or night. And I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.